Not every deck is a winner, even if they look amazing on paper. And in this video, I'll share with you 4 decks that I regret buying. Not because the quality was bad or was something wrong with them, but just because they didn't work for me, and I'll tell you exactly why. Hey, this is Jay with Lunacore Tarot, where I bring you weekly Oracle and Tarot deck reviews. And the first deck I regret buying is Angel Tarot by Rockpool Publishing. Actually, one of my favorite publishers. So this is a miniature version of the original Angel Tarot, and it looks amazing. And look at the gold gilded tin, and this deck is visually stunning. Look at the guidebook. It's not one of the cheap ones. Now this deck is dedicated to angels, and pretty much all, I believe it's a full-size deck, 78 cards, 72 plus 6 archangels is just angels, right? Now, the first problem I have with this deck is look at the size of the fonts here. I immediately realized that to work with this, I'm gonna need these bad boys here. And that was my probably last mini version of a deck I bought, because the fonts on them are so tiny that I wasn't able to read anything without them. And in fact, I'm going to wear it now just for this deck. And I already have contacts, so I'm wearing 2 sets of glasses just to work with this deck. I mean, that tells you something. Now, that one thing I immediately realized, and I recorded the review of this, but I decided not to publish it because I literally have no idea what's happening with this deck. It is so detailed with each angel, and quality is impeccable. Look at this. It's got a bit of it's not a gold print, but it's got the yellow print on the back, right? And the cards themselves look so detailed and fine that it's an amazing workmanship. But I was so out of my depth. I couldn't figure out what's going on here, because there's so many different angels that I've never heard of. And I wouldn't have a clue how to work with this deck. I tried and I had a look, and there are some instructions on how to work with it. But I think unless you are an expert in this, it will be almost impossible to work with this deck. And I would love to know what you think of this. But that video was never published, and I put the deck away thinking that I will never use it. But then I finally found a use for it, is to create the video of the deck that I regret buying. But it is pretty. It's got this gold gilded edges and a beautiful tin, and I hope there is someone who enjoyed using it and figure out how to work with this. Moving to our next deck that I regret buying. It's this one here, and I know the packaging looks amazing on this. When I saw it online, I thought this is going to be the one. I think it's going to be amazing. When I started playing with it a little bit, I realized that there have been other decks that did slightly better job at this. For instance, you could have a message here talking about mushrooms and why they're important, perhaps. But even with that, that's just a nitpicking, right? It's not going to go there. It just doesn't want to come out. The packaging is decent. It's a thick cardboard. We've got a guidebook here, which I sealed. I'm going to undo it now. That talks about the meaning of this. And this literally a deck full of mushrooms. It goes through the species, what they are, and I did a full review on this, right? How to make a spiritual connection with this, and they suggest, the author saying that you can drink a mushroom tea or draw some mushrooms and do all this stuff. And then you can actually look at the cards in a second. I find that connecting with the deck of mushrooms is extremely difficult, because with a fool journey, you know how the fool travels through different challenges for life to spiritual ascending. I just can't theme this with mushrooms. And while a deck, I mean, this is a masterpiece, right? And I did this review. It's probably one of my first reviews, and it looks to me like this was painted by hand, right? But it's very difficult to connect with this deck. Can you see a chariot here? Can you see the wheel taking control and making a decision and having a choice on this one? Or Four of Wands, the foundation of something strong, built on passion. The Strength, I can almost see something here. I see the infinity sign, and almost see a lion, but if I didn't know it was Strength and Chaga, I wouldn't have a clue how Chaga is connected to Strength. Sorry, I shuffled all the cards in the wrong way, but you get the idea, right? Maybe this one you can connect with. The Destroying Angel, I assume it's a poisonous mushroom. But making the connection out of this straight away would be difficult. And for the life of me, I can't see a mushroom evolving into a spiritual being. I'm also not a big fan of mushrooms. I mean, other than having them cooked. Understanding the significance of mushrooms, there's some theories about how mushrooms could have been the reason why human evolved. I mean, there's a fascinating story with this, right? If you dive into it, perhaps you can connect with it, but I'm a little bit distant from it. And it's just a reminder that if you buy a deck, make sure you buy it. It's about something that you care about, either the stunning artwork or the subject. And unfortunately, I'm not a, is it mycologist? Person who gets involved, mycologist, who gets involved with mushrooms, understands a lot about them. And I know a little bit about them. Like, fun fact, did you know that trees use mycelium networks to communicate with each other, and they can know if another tree is being cut down because they can communicate using this mushroom growing underground? Did you know that? That's a pretty cool fact, right? But yeah, I could have got something else, and will probably enjoy it more than this one. Let me know if this is something that you have in your collection, and how did you go with connecting with this deck. My next deck, this is pure nitpicking, but I have been on the lookout of a good quality remake of Rider-Waite deck, and I actually have one coming soon. They're not new decks, and that's why it's probably not worth putting a dedicated review, because a lot of talented people already have left their reviews. But I came across this deck in a book called Advanced Tarot, which talked about this. The author used it in readings, right? And I looked at it on this pages. It looked really tiny, the cards, and I thought that the quality of work is actually quite good with this one. And it's also Lo Scarabeo, right? And it's also Lo Scarabeo that has decent quality cards. They're a little bit thin, but still okay. And I started playing with this a little bit. I realized that for some reason this reimagining of characters is actually did more harm than good for me. For some reason I enjoyed this sort of rough lines, and maybe I would prefer if it was the fonts were changed on a name of a card, but they reimagined the whole thing. So if you recognize the familiar characters, it looks slightly different. Look at this example here. So this is reimagining of the cards, right? This is a traditional classic Rider-Waite, and this is the Universal Tower. I just find it annoying how they got this hat and put on the guy. Why? Why would you do that? The colors had some significant meaning. I agree that with the change in the sky color to blue, this looks good, but this fella, I'm not sure what he's trying to be. Is he a cowboy, or is this, I'm so lost. And this is not the only example. So look at these two. So this is the traditional Rider-Waite, and the one on the right is the Universal Tarot. Look at the horse face. I mean, isn't it creepy? It looks like it's got a mustache or something rather. This one looks like a obedient looking, happy, or I don't know, maybe contemplating about something horse. And this one looks like a front of a car. But this fella here is more royal-like, where this guy here, I don't know, he's sort of tired of life and kind of pissed off at the same time. I'm not sure. And I think the card that really made me just put it away is the Hangman. I look at this one and I immediately thought, the Hangman looks so big, it's like so puffy in this suit or costume he's wearing. And this one, I always think of the Odin hanging down after, trying to gain that wisdom and bleeding to death, basically. This guy, I don't have the same association. Perhaps this one's got more color on it or something else. And if you ever watched a movie or a TV series and then made a sequel or a season where the main hero disappears, and they replace that with another character, and you just see this new actor, and it just keeps annoying you that there's slight differences in the way they are. This is probably what it is for me. I'm just so used to seeing Rider-Waite, and I have found another deck that I ordered. I'm just waiting for it to show up, which is going to be a bit more true to the classics. But they've done some work quite well, like this one, the Tower, for instance. I felt that was a good reimagining of it, sort of creating this high definition version of it. Another thing I don't really like about the traditional cards is that the writing on them is quite rough. But I would say that the Universal Tarot made it a little bit worse. They just printed the repeat of the card name 4 times, which to me is a bit of overkill. I mean, I understand it's in different languages, but then there are decks like Tarot de Marseille that is completely in French, and we're sort of okay with it. So yeah, so this is definitely a regret. While the artwork may be beautiful and intricate, I think the fact that I started working with the Rider-Waite original one, it made it a little bit difficult for me. Some of the reimaginings are cool, like this one here, but at the same time, it's just that little difference that makes you notice these little details and just keep distracting you in an annoying way from the actual reading. So, and the last pick, Cats Rule the Earth. I love cats, and as you already know, the name of this channel has a cat in it. But this deck, I don't know what to make of it. The packaging is amazing, and that's probably one of the reasons why I bought this. It's got a decent guidebook. It's actually a proper size. It's modeled off Rider-Waite Smith. But the issue here is that you need to know the meaning of cards before you start working with them. And I mean, it's a deck that makes you laugh, but not the deck that wants you to read using it. Like if you look at this one, six of Swords here, what do you see? Do you see the original meaning in this card? Of this one here? I feel that this was a deck created for cat lovers first and tarot readers second, right? Like, look at this one. It's just a deck, I think, that you can buy to entertain your friends, perhaps, or do a fun read. Like, look at this one here. What's happening with this? Is that a battle scar? And there's more than one of these. I think the 5 of Pentacles has a one-eyed cat on it. just to represent the hardship, I guess. This is a temperance card. I'm just not getting it. It's good to different colors too. And look, I think by itself, I can't remember what the price was, but it's not the cheapest deck, but a moderately priced, let's say. You could have I could have bought something else that has better value, perhaps artwork that is more true to original tarot archetypes. But this one, I'm not sure, because this one could have easily been the Magician, right? Because you got all the suits here. Do you see the completion of the cycle here? Yeah. This is a deck that you open once, you show it to your friends, or you do a review, like in my case, and put it away, and you never get it back. This was one of my first reviews, and if you want to know all the cards and go through it, just find a review. I'll link it in the video. But difficult to connect, probably more of like a fun deck as a gift to someone who loves cats. Is it for serious tarot readers? I would say no. Is it easy to use? I mean, look at these faces. They all look exactly the same. And yes, it's a cat, but couldn't they had a different look on their faces? I mean, this one, but kind of look on different corner, but it's just the same image of a cat staring at you. Just a different cat, but with the same expression, same eyes on their face. Sometimes they look at each other. That's about as much variety as you get on this. So yeah, that's another one I'm thinking that I could have gone a different route. So here's the video. Sometimes a deck looks amazing from outside, but just can't connect with it. Do you have any decks that you regret buying? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this. Let's come back for more. I've got an interesting review or a video waiting for you every week, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I would like to have you on board.